time for my end of year makeup inventory. So I have been counting all of my makeup products, each and every single one, including the samples, and here are my numbers. So I won't be showing you pictures of my products simply because it's too much. It's just too much. So I will be putting up here on the screen the numbers that you will need to see. When I count my makeup products, I count everything as one. So a full size is one. A sample is one. I do not differentiate between samples and full sizes. It just makes it a lot simpler and a lot easier. And then I'm not fooling myself into thinking I have less than I actually do. So that is how I count everything. Everyone does it differently, and that is the way I do mine. So I will tell you my numbers that I currently have, and then I will be telling you numbers that I had at the beginning of the year and in the middle of the year in June. So I do count 3 times a year just to keep myself on track. So let's start off with primers. Primers, I currently have 7. At the beginning of the year, I had 12. So that's good. And in June, I had 10. So I have been steadily working through my primers. Some I really like and will think about repurchasing, and others, eh. For foundations, I have 13. Back in the beginning of the year, I had 14. And in June, I also had 13. So it looks like I haven't used up any between June and December, but that's not true. I have used up some, but I've also gained a few new ones as well. For concealers, I currently have 5. And back in the beginning of the year, I had 7 plus 3 colour correctors. I counted them separately because I just did. And in June, I had 9 concealers and 2 colour correctors. So I have got rid of my colour correctors now. In fact, I passed those on to my daughter and she enjoyed it so much, she used it all up and went out and bought new. So that was good. For setting powders, I currently have 6. Back at the beginning of the year, I had 9. And in June, I had 8. So I have been working steadily through my setting powders. Now, blushes. Now, I did have a bit of a declutter earlier in the year, and I'm glad I did. So my numbers have dropped, but not from usage. So blushes, I currently have 34. Back at the beginning of the year, I had 42. And in June, I went up to 46. And I think it was just after my June makeup inventory that I decided to do a declutter because I realised my numbers were going up, not down. So yeah, so I have managed to declutter quite a few blushes. For bronzers, I currently have 13. Back at the beginning of the year, I had 24. And I still had 24 in June. I'm still looking at my book because I can't remember all these numbers. For highlighters, I have 40. That's a lot of highlighter. Back in the beginning of the year, I had 32. Then I went up to 39 and I now own 40. That was generally because I gained the Soph X highlighter palette from my husband. My husband bought me that. And although I have still decluttered some highlighters and I've used up some highlighters this year, I still managed to grow my number of highlighters. So that is definitely something I need to look at in the new year. For eyeliners, including the glitter gel eyeliners from the Glam Crystals by Collection, I have 30. Now this is a definite problem area for me. Back in the beginning of the year, I had 21 eyeliners, and in June I had 31 eyeliners. So I've used up one since June, but 30 eyeliners. I don't need 30 eyeliners. I need to work on that number for sure. For mascaras, I currently have 12. Back at the beginning of the year, I had 11. And in June, I had 13. So, yeah, I try to use my mascaras for any time between 4 to 6 months. So I have a couple of years worth of mascara, that's for sure. For glitters and pigments, I currently have 6 and 1 glitter glue. Back in the beginning of the year, I only had 5 and I didn't have any glitter glue. And then in June, I had 6 and 1 glitter glue. So there's been no movement on the glitters and pigments. For cream and stick eyeshadows, I currently have 23. So that includes things like Colour Pops, Maybelline Colour Tattoos, any eyeshadows in the stick form. Back at the beginning of the year, I had 17. And in June I had 21, so that has grown some, but I do love using my Colour Pops and my Maybelline Colour Tattoos, so I'm not too concerned about that. And I have one Colour Pop that's a backup of my favourite colour, which is Issa, so I have 2 Issas, so that I really don't mind at all. Eyeshadows. Now I count all of my palettes individually, so I count each single eyeshadow pan in a palette. So one palette might have 16 eyeshadows, one palette might have 32 eyeshadows, another palette might only have 3, or my singles. So these are all powder eyeshadows. I have 47 palettes, but I have singles and doubles and trios and stuff as well. So the grand total of eyeshadow pans I own is 679 eyeshadow pans. Yep, that's an awful lot of shadows. Back at the beginning of the year, I owned 459. And back in June, I had 652. So I haven't grown much since June to December, but I've grown over 200 eyeshadows in 1 year. That's a lot of eyeshadows. So really need to work on that. Lip liners, I currently have 15. Back at the beginning of the year, I had 13 and also 13 in June. So I've gained 2. So I know I've used up a couple, but I've also gained a few in my sleek makeup calendar. So that's where a few of my numbers have kind of jumped up a little bit in December because I had the Sleek Beauty Advent Calendar. It's no excuse, but that's what's happened. For lipsticks and lipstick crayons, those are the bullet type of lipsticks, I currently have 63 bullet lipsticks, or I have some Urban Decay Vice lipstick samples as well that are in a bit of a foil packet. I still count them as one. So I currently have 63. Back at the beginning of the year, I had 46, and I thought that was a lot then. And in June, I had 82. So I did jump up a lot in June, mainly because I gained 24 of those Urban Decay Vice liquid, not liquid, the Vice samples. I'll show you one now. So I gained 24 of these little foil samples of lipsticks by Urban Decay. So I kind of jumped up a lot in June. But as I say, I did do a bit of a declutter. So I've gone back down to 63, which is still a lot, but I'm working on it. For liquid lipsticks, I currently have 30. Back at the beginning of the year, I had 29. And in June, I had 47. I'd have to do a little bit of maths here because I did some wrong. So I had 47 back in June. So still a lot, but definitely less than June. For lip glosses. Okay. In regards to lip glosses, I don't like lip glosses. I don't buy lip glosses, and yet, however, I still own 14 lip glosses. Back at the beginning of the year, I had 17 lip glosses, and in June, I had 22 lip glosses. So I've definitely either decluttered or used up quite a few lip glosses. So I'm quite happy with that. For lip balms and lip scrubs, I had 13, or I have 13 now. At the beginning of the year, I had 8. Yep. And back in June, I had 10. Now, the problem I was having this year was I would go shopping and I'd be in town and I think, my lips are a bit dry. I didn't bring a lip balm with me. I know, I'll pick one up while I'm in town and I'll leave it in my handbag. I always took it out of my handbag and then left it at home so that the next time I went shopping, I'd need a lip balm. And so I'd buy another one. So that's how my lip balms have kind of grown this year. But I now have so many that I can actually put one in my handbag and leave it there. So hopefully the lip balms will be decreasing this year, or in 2019. For brows, I currently have 14 products. Back in the beginning of the year, I had 15. And back in June, I had 16. I have used up at least one product, possibly more, I can't remember. But yeah, so that's those numbers. For setting sprays has never been a problem area for me. It's not an area that I am worried or concerned about. I currently have 2. At the beginning of the year, I had 2. In June, I went up to 3. But as I say, it's not a problem area for me. Setting sprays are just not something that I buy a lot of. I kind of get to the point of, oh, I'm nearly running out, I better go and buy some more. I'm not really one for, ooh, that's a pretty setting spray, and then drawn in by packaging or great advertising or anything like that. Setting spray is just one of those things that I buy as and when I need it. It's not something that I spend my money on. So, like the other pretty things, like nail polishes. So the final category that we're going to talk about today is nail polish. Now, let me put a context here. I've been receiving Manny and Lola subscription box now since May. And on average, I'm receiving about 4 nail polishes a month. So let's just keep that in mind. My current nail polish collection has 240 nail polishes. Pardon me, 240 nail polishes. That includes things like top coats, base coats, nail treatments and cuticle oils and things like that, as well as colours. back at the beginning of the year, I only had 166. Only had 166. And back in June, I had 199. So I've gained about 80 polishes in a year. That's an awful lot. So yeah, those are my numbers for my makeup inventory. A lot of the product types have gone down in their numbers, but a few have gone considerably up, and up in a point that they're dangerously high. So the areas that I think I need to work on for 2019 is definitely my highlighters, definitely my eyeshadows, definitely my eyeliners, and definitely my nail polishes. Those are the 4 areas where I really need to hone in on and start using up and stop buying more. Although I will be continuing my Manny and Lola subscription. So that number is set to rise. So yeah, those are my numbers. In regards to my empties, I will be doing a separate video on my makeup empties for the year. I have been keeping them. They're in a bag. And it's a surprisingly big bag of empties. So there will be a separate video showing you my makeup empties for the year. So keep your eyes peeled for that. If it goes up before this one, then I may link it for you below. If not, it will be coming very, very soon for you. And then you can sort of see, okay, yes, my collection has grown a little bit, but I've also used up an awful lot of makeup this year as well, which I'm very, very happy about. It helps to keep it all in focus. Yes, my makeup is growing, but I'm also using a lot of it up as well. So we're okay. It's okay. So that is my makeup inventory. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe as always. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!